and then to be played on the big screen by Tom Hanks. Zowie.
Astronaut Jim Lovell, best known as the commander of the near-tragic Apollo 13 mission to the moon, died Thursday in Illinois. He was 97. Lovell was a veteran of 4 space flights: Gemini 7, Gemini 12, Apollo 8, and Apollo 13. In a statement released Friday, the Lovell family highlighted his amazing life and career accomplishments and his legendary leadership in pioneering human spaceflight. But, to all of us, he was dad, granddad, and the leader of our family. Most importantly, he was our hero, the family said in its statement. We will miss his unshakable optimism, his sense of humor, and the way he made each of us feel we could do the impossible. He was truly one of a kind. Lovell was selected to join NASA in 1962 as part of the agency's second round of astronauts, a group that included Neil Armstrong, Charles Pete Conrad, John Young, and others that were nicknamed the Next Nine. NASA said he had turned a potential tragedy into a success after an attempt to land on the moon was aborted because of an explosion on board the spacecraft while it was hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth. Tens of millions watched on television as Lovell and 2 other astronauts splashed back down into the Pacific Ocean, a moment which has become one of the most iconic in the history of space travel. Lovell, who was also part of the Apollo 8 mission, was the first man to go to the moon twice, but never actually landed. Acting NASA head Sean Duffy said Lovell had helped the U.S. space program to forge a historic path. In a statement, Lovell's family said, "We will miss his unshakable optimism, his sense of humor, and the way he made each of us feel we could do the impossible. He was truly one of a kind." Lovell's first 2 space flights, Gemini 7 and Gemini 12, were designed to demonstrate how humans could live in weightlessness and to test rendezvous and docking technologies that would be essential for subsequent space station operations. Lovell next circled the moon on the Apollo 8 mission in 1968, but it was his 4th and final spaceflight that brought him the most fame. Lovell was part of NASA's second-ever astronaut class, selected in September 1962 and nicknamed the New Nine. He became the first astronaut to make 4 spaceflights, totaling more than 715 hours in space. And joining the Apollo 13 crew after having first served on Apollo 8, which intentionally circumnavigated the moon but did not land on its surface, made Lovell the first human ever to see the moon up close for a second time. In an interview with CNN in 2018 at age 90, Lovell recalled his adventure as Apollo 8's navigator. "To me, it was a mini Lewis and Clark expedition," Lovell said. "We were going someplace new to observe the far side of the moon, which had never been seen before." Apollo 7 had marked the first crewed mission of the program in October 1968 after a launch pad fire killed 3 astronauts in January 1967. Apollo 8's launch followed a couple of months after Apollo 7, occurring just before Christmas 1968. At one point, Lovell extended his arm toward the window of the spacecraft. Earth appeared so small that he could cover it with his thumb. "I realized that behind my thumb, there were about 3.5 billion people and everything I ever knew," Lovell said in the 2018 interview. "I suddenly got a different feeling about life in general and my position in it." After Apollo 13, Lovell received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in April 1970 and served as the deputy director of Johnson Space Center in Houston from 1971 to 1973. He retired from the Navy and NASA in March 1973 and was later inducted into the U.S. Astronauts Hall of Fame in March 1993 and awarded the Congressional Space Medal of Honor by President Bill Clinton in 1995. Lovell found himself at the center of a debate over artifact ownership in November 2011 when an Apollo 13 checklist he used for calculations sold at auction for $388,375, causing NASA to question whether he had the right to sell it. Then NASA Administrator Charles Bolden met with Lovell and other astronauts to work out the issue, but no agreement was reached. President Barack Obama signed a bill into law in September 2012 that gave Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo astronauts full ownership rights of the artifacts they collected from their missions.